Counts us into our second hour here on the Creative City Show with me, your host, Zach Yenser. As every day, daily, Monday through Friday, 10 to 12, we share the stories and strategies of the people and ideas shaping Tucson's future. And along the way, we envision, we debate, we discuss the issues and themes critical towards getting us to that future. And I've got in studio today, there's a total of 3 of us in this studio that care a lot about our city, that care a lot about our community, and care a lot about our region. If you missed any of the first hour, or you missed part of the first hour and you want to catch up, we spent the first hour talking about a book that I'm going through. I broke schoolroom rules and did a partial book report where I've gotten through part of the book, and it's just so interesting, and it is so in line with so many conversations that I'm having in the community even today. It's called Fighting Sprawl in City Hall, Resistance to Urban Growth in the Southwest by a guy named Michael Logan. And I talked about a few different topics where the same conversations were happening in the 1900s, 1950s, 1960s that we are having today. Literally, so many conversations in our community have not changed for decades. And that is not to say that we shouldn't be having discussions around challenges. Cities are challenging, messy, complicated places. Regions are, communities are. We are complicated people. We'll always be talking about complicated issues, but the issues, I think, should develop and evolve. And my point was that we seem to be just kind of cycling around in a whirlpool of conversation in our community. And what do we do about it? So if you are interested in that and you missed it, go to kvoi.com/podcasts or iTunes or Google Play Music to find that replay. All right, let's get into it. This hour, we are with the co-facilitators of the Hispanic Leadership Institute program, Tucson, a program of Valle del Sol, and one of multiple HLI cohorts around our state, the Hispanic Leadership Institute. I went through this 10-week program. I enjoyed it, and I wanted to have a conversation about it on the air. So, Ricardo, Alma, thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach.
Yes.
Good to be here.
There we go.
Thank you for the invitation.
See, I think your mics just came on. Let's do that introduction one more time. Alma and Ricardo, welcome. Thank you for being here. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Zach. It's so good to be here with you today.
Has it been a long day, Ricardo?
It's been a long day.
It's 11 o'clock, and
I started pretty early.
Give some of our team here a hard time because they'll often say when I leave, "Good night." And like, has it been that long of a day? Or "Happy Friday"? No, it's only Thursday. So it's that end of the week vibe, I think. But no, welcome. I again appreciate your time as facilitators of the Hispanic Leadership Institute program in Tucson. Let's start with this. The kind of parent catalyst organization is called Valle del Sol. Tell us about Valle del Sol, and then tell us about the Hispanic Leadership Institute program and what it aims to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you figure out who goes first.
Ladies first.
Oh, such a gentleman. Such a gentleman.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, Valle del Sol is an organization up in Phoenix, and they are a behavioral health organization. But they also have this leadership program throughout the state, which is called the Hispanic Leadership Institute, and there's different chapters around the state. One of them is Pinal County, Maricopa County, Maricopa West, and different counties in up north. And I believe they're even starting a chapter in Flagstaff, and they have another one in Yuma. And we are lucky enough to be leading and co-facilitating the Tucson chapter. I've been facilitating for 4 years. And it's been incredible, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity for Valle del Sol to reach out to us and start this program with in conjunction with Hispanic Leadership. The Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Pima Community College, and Cox Communications to work with them to start a leadership program here in Tucson.
Super, Ricardo. What kind of organization is Valle del Sol, and what was their inspiration for starting this?
Well, Valle del Sol, as Almita said, is an organization that focuses on health issues and also Hispanic issues. It is a program that starts also when Chicanos por la Causa started. But the leadership... Hello? Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. You're good.
Okay. So it started when the Chicanos por la Causa started, and it was focused for Latino issues or issues affecting the Latino community. So the program was very effective. The program was very effective in Phoenix. So they started to bringing the program to different places, and we were very lucky to be able to brought the program to Tucson. So as Almita was saying, she has been co-facilitating the program for about 4 years. This is the first time doing this along with Almita Peralta. I graduated from this program in 2016. This is the Tucson chapter, or the Hispanic Leadership Institute chapter, is a 10-week civic leadership program. We focus on Latinos, as I said. We focus on Latinos and issues affecting the Latino community. If we look at the population here in Tucson, 40% of our population are Hispanics, but we don't see that demographic, we don't see that number in leadership roles. So that's why this program was created or was brought to Tucson, because we want more Latinos involved in our community, helping our community in different capacities, from government, nonprofit organization, and also from the private sector.
Super. And I think you mentioned it, but I just want to repeat it. This program in Tucson has been around for 10 years. This was the 10th and best cohort, I have to admit, of the Hispanic Hispanic Leadership Institute. About how many students go through the institute every year? I know it varies, but if you had to ballpark an average.
About 15 participants go through the program, and the majority of the participants are in mid management positions within their companies, and they're very eager to get more involved with the community or move up in their the leadership of their organization. So that's one of the motivators that brings the participants into the program. The program is 10 weeks. I don't remember if Ricardo mentioned that, but here in Tucson, it's 10 weeks, and they're every Wednesday for 10 weeks from 6 to 9. So we like to give that flexibility to the working professionals so that they have that ability to take the training program. I've heard of other leadership programs that they go through a whole weekend and they have to travel, and some other leadership programs, they're a full day. So our program facilitates that for the working professionals.
For sure. Yeah, that is one of the highlights. I think that one of the differences is both its length, but also when it happens during the week, during the day. And I think all of the different leadership programs that we have in the city all kind of meet a certain need in a certain way, and HLI meets its own need in a certain way. And I never really had a chance to ask my classmates this, so I'll ask you this: when they decided to enroll, when our cohort decided to enroll, what was the main reason or two you heard why somebody would want to spend 30 hours over a 10-week period from 6 to 9 at night going through this program? What was their why? I'm curious. What's the inspiration for going through something like this?
If I can start this one, the why is when I started, when I went through the program, because I did go through the program before co-facilitating it, and that was back in 2014 that I went through the program, and that's when I had joined the Tucson Hispanic Chamber as a staff member. And, my boss invited me. She said, come into the program. And it was an opportunity for me for personal development, but also as a Tucsonan to get to know my community a little better. I've lived in Tucson my whole life. And when you go through the program, you're like, wow, I really didn't know Tucson. So it's a perfect opportunity to know the ins and outs of your community. What are the needs? what are the strengths of the community and what are the weaknesses and what we can do to improve our community, the standard of living of our town. And for me, that was one of the motivators to, for professional, personal development, but also to get to know the community. And I think I've heard that resonate from other people that have gone through the program as well.
What about you, Ricardo? What have you heard? Is it same or different, or would you add anything?
That is a great question. By looking at their applications, it always surprised me that almost all of them they want to be in this program because they care about their community, they love their community, they want to be involved in their community, they want to know more what's going on in the community. I really love this program because, as you can tell by my accent, I was not born and raised in Tucson, even though Tucson is my community now. I moved to Tucson 4 years ago, and knowing nobody, basically I was new in the community, and by taking this program, really transformed my life. And believe me, I started looking at Tucson in a different way. So by looking at their applications, it always remind me why I love this program, because all of them, as I told you, they want to be more involved, more engaged in serving their community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, let's talk about one more thing before we'll use the second segment to get into kind of some of the nuts and bolts of the program, topics covered, places that are visited, kind of how that works. But on the back end of the program, I'm with Ricardo Morales and Alma Peralta, the two co-facilitators of the Hispanic Leadership Institute in Tucson. The pledges to serve. I know those are all, I think, kind of personal, and we don't have to get into anybody's specifics. You can use mine if you want, but there's at the very end at graduation, there is a pledge to serve, right? So they come into the program with this desire. They go through 10 weeks, which we'll break down in the next segment, talk about some of the key issues that this program really wants to inform about. But then there's a pledge to serve. What have you, over the last 4 years, this year, what's the transformation you've seen of these leaders who've gone through this program? What are they pledging to serve? What are they doing in the community now?
Well, I can give you several examples, but I will give you my case. When my pledge was to serve on a board, I love international relations, and I have a special interest for international relations. So my pledge was to serve on an international organization, serving on a board. I have never served on a board before, and after taking HLI, start doing my research on what would be the most appropriate organization to serve, and I'm happy to say that I've been serving on the Tucson, Mexico Sister Cities board for about 2 years, and in January I have been selected to be the new vice president. So definitely I stick to it. Thank you. I stick to it, my pledge, and I look for the organization.
Super. About you, Alma, what are some of the areas of the community that you're seeing service in? Again, the program ends with a call to serve, a pledge to serve. What are some of the pledges that you've seen? Where are these graduates serving in our community?
Well, I see a lot in the education. There's the education program, and I see that hits, strikes a chord into the participants' hearts, and they see the need, and that's where I've seen a lot more involvement. And I don't know if you want to talk about it right now, but as far as the 2019 cohort, we saw a little bit more involvement. Now, even before the program ended, the class started getting involved and trying to make a difference in the education part of our city. But I've also seen other people who they want to write, and for example, your colleague Selena, she started going to take writing classes because she wants to make a difference with
Cool.
writing, and I started seeing that as well with Miguel. He really wants to get involved in education
Absolutely.
and making a difference. And we can talk about, the scholarship that you guys raised for San Miguel High School as well.
Right.
But I've seen, people go through the program and they want to get more involved in state issues. So they get involved in the HLI program, then they get involved to, for example, Greater Tucson Leadership, whom
Right.
we've worked with before, and then they move up to like statewide leadership programs. And now we have participants going through, the statewide leadership programs because they're running for office, or
Right.
they want to make a difference statewide. So for a lot of them, is they start very locally and with the Hispanic community, and then they move up to the statewide level.
Got it. Yeah, on that note, before we go to our first break, do you have off the top of your head any of the statewide statistics of board service or running for office or people who are now in office that went through the program? I mean, it's a leadership civic engagement program. HLI has some serious results in that. Do you have that off the top of your head, or do you want to get into that after the break maybe? Or
Yeah, let's get that after the
Okay.
break, because I have the data. I just don't have
Super.
it on hand. But
No. Sounds good. And we're a little bit over anyway, so that makes sense. And then we'll go to a break in a minute. And then when we come back, we will talk about the different nuts and bolts of the program. It's a leadership institute, Hispanic Leadership Institute, focused on some core issues around things that matter to the Latino and broader community. I do want to say, on the air, obviously I went through it and I'm not Latino, so it's a very inclusive program in that sense, but it's really focused on the support and the training and the engagement and involvement of the Latino community in Tucson. So we'll talk about the different elements of the program that build that out when we come back. It's a 10-year program. It's produced leaders and elected officials and board members, and it has impacted our community in some pretty amazing ways. You're on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. We'll be back with Alma and Ricardo after this. Don't go away. Tucson, welcome back to the show. You are on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. We bring the news and talk to you every day here on this show, 10 to 12, but all day on KVOI 1030 The Voice. We bring you high quality news, and you bring the trusted and local listening, and we appreciate that greatly. In the studio with me today, we are talking about Hispanic Leadership Institute Tucson with Ricardo Morales and Alma Peralta here in studio, the two co-facilitators of the program. It's been in Tucson about 10 years. It's a 10-week, 30-hour program, and really engaging community leaders around leadership development and city issues that especially impact the Latino community. They impact all of us, but it's a real take on the impact of the Latino leadership and community in Tucson, and also brings awareness to how major issues in our city are impacted by and impact the Latino community. So it's a really incredible program. I went through it, and so of course naturally I wanted to have a conversation on the air about it. So I wanted to get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts with these guys. We talked about the structure of the program and some of the history. When we say when the curriculum is set up, when we talk about the civic training and civic leadership development within the program, what does that look like as a structure? What does that look like as a program? What issues does HLI cover? There's some gentlemanly activity going here of ladies first, but then the lady said no. Ricardo goes
Before
first.
you
So
get started, I just want to say congratulations, Zach, for graduating from
Thank you.
the class of 2009. I know you're a father of two.
Yep.
And as you were going through the program,
Yep.
your second child was
Yes.
born, and I want to say congratulations for juggling, all
I
your
appreciate
jobs,
it.
your community service, your personal development leadership program, and also fatherhood. So
Thank you.
it's a big deal. Congratulations. And I'm really proud of Zach.
Well,
Yes, we are.
we have a hashtag in HLI called hashtag HLI Familia, and the hashtag HLI Familia through a surprise baby shower. So I have to throw that in as well. That
That was
that
fun.
I
That
felt
was
so
fun.
loved and cared for, and it was an intergenerational group too. It was
Yes,
younger and
yes.
older, and so they came together and just threw a little baby shower at our leadership retreat, and it was just it was wonderful. It was so
Yes,
sweet.
yeah. We do have that hashtag HLI Familia. So the little baby Yenser has 10 new tias and tios.
Yes, indeed.
So,
Oh, and that
we're-
showed.
Yeah, we got to meet him at graduation,
Yes.
meet mom and
Yep.
big sisters. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're a big family, and we
Yep.
recently also celebrated another baby shower with
Yes.
our friend Miguel from
Yeah.
Cox Communications. He is going to be a new dad, and
Yeah.
we got together, and it was really nice. So we do have a really good bond, and this group especially had a really tight bond, and I see that moving.
Mhm.
You know, I see that going on even after the program ends.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
that's
Yeah,
it.
we're all texting and WhatsApping most of the day. I mean,
Right.
there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a notification or 10 from the 2019 HLI Familia. And there's about 100 now in Tucson. That Familia is about 100, maybe 120, depends on the size of the class. Now it's been in place for 10 years. I was just looking at my notes real quick before we go to Ricardo to talk about the program. I had asked Alma about some statistics of
Yeah,
HLI, and when we talk about this statewide network that emphasizes board service and running for office and serving in the community, what's the data behind that by now?
So right now, as of, it changed after this graduation, and we have other groups graduating this summer too around
That's
the
right.
state. But the last data that we have is that we have 1,700 alumni from the 7 programs. There are 30 elected officials across Arizona, 16 school board members in 15 districts, 12 are on upcoming ballots, and there are 400 alumni serving on 280 boards.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's an impact.
And there's actually a training within. I guess this is getting ahead of Ricardo. I apologize. There's an actual training within the program on board leadership.
That is correct.
So let's
yeah.
segue from that massive number, 280, to what the program curriculum looks like.
Yes, and before I start talking about the program curriculum, I just wanted to add that if you go to Valle del Sol website, they have a leadership program alumni. If you're a nonprofit and you're looking for board members
Oh.
for your organization, you can fill out an application, and then you can, and then Valle del Sol reach out the alumni.
Oh, that's cool.
The alumni group, and then they say, hey, there's an organization looking for 1 board member, 2 board members,
Oh, that's cool.
and there's also another way Valle del Sol can keep engaging the alumni in Southern Arizona or statewide.
That's really cool.
But talking about the program, the agenda, that's the fun part of
Yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
that is a fun part of the program. I really enjoy it. Basically, Valle del Sol sent us the objectives for the year, or the classes we should be looking at, and with that information we start creating or building the agenda. So on our agenda, we have culture or arts, healthcare, education, business and industry, media and communication, and then also we have a leadership retreat. But we also have a special training serving on a board. So Valle del Sol sent us the objectives for the class. And then Almita and I, we start building the agenda, putting together the agenda, bringing the speakers, looking for the venues, because what we don't want is to have this class in the same place. We want, if we're talking about media, we want to take our group to different radio stations or TV channels. If we're talking about business and industry, we want to take them to a business company, to a chamber of commerce. So that's the fun part. I really enjoy this part, and that's where you really focus or have a better understanding of how the program will look like.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned it, that was one of the most. You asked me what some of my thoughts were, so unsolicited. Here you go. I really enjoyed going to the places that you took us. You know, for example, and I'm all of a sudden blanking on the name of the studio, but it's
Modern Studios.
There we go. It's the largest. It's the largest footprint film studio in the state, and it's here in our Tucson area. I mean, you took us to places that we would have never known to go if we weren't following you guys. Sometimes literally, I followed Ricardo to one, and even he couldn't find it. So there's a little radio station off the side of the road, and Ricardo took us the long way around. But funny HLI Familia moments, right? But it was just really fun to see those different places and to be taken there and to see what's going on in our community. You had a thought, Alma, about the program.
One of the neatest things too is that as we're developing the agenda and the way each day is going to look like, is that we get to go back and reach out to HLI alumni and say, hey, you want to get involved this year? And they're very happy to do so. For example, on Media Day, Media and Communications, we went to Modern Studios, and then afterwards, Lotus,
Arizona
Lotus, they hosted us in their boardroom, and we got to see, their studio. We got to see, what is the process of, getting some airtime. And also we got to be hosted by one of the alumni from HLI 2017, who is Erica Aguilar. If she's listening, we're giving a shout out to them as well for, thanking them for hosting us for Media and Communications Day. But other years we've gone other places like KOLD Studios, KGA 9. So it all depends on the availability of the speakers as well.
Right.
And talking about media and communications, a lot of people were very excited to be on a radio station. I think it wasn't the same feeling for you, Zach, but a lot of people had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, it's there. I think someone was like, "Go get behind the mic," and I'm like, "I do that every day." I'm just kidding.
I do this for
I was like, okay. And then I was scared someone was going to take a picture and post it, and I'd be like, traitor, So I had to be careful on that one. Yeah, but no. There was a lot of times where alumni would introduce the class. So I think we talked about government day. We had it at Cox, and a Cox graduate talked about how much value they got out of the program. Wasn't there an HLI graduate that also was involved in the arts? Or maybe I'm messing that up. I can't remember.
Yes, Victor Navarro. Victor Navarro, right. One of our speakers for art and culture.
Internationally known artist. Right out of here in Tucson. It's incredible.
Yes. What I like about the HLI family, and I'm talking about not only the students, but the alumni, is, as you were talking about Victor Navarro, he was in Dubai exhibiting his art, and he arrived in Tucson a day before.
From Dubai. Yeah.
But he said when we reach out to him, he said, yes, I want to do it because he sees the value of this program.
And Victor graduated HLI class of 2014 with me. Just FYI, just saying.
There we go.
One of the coolest things about Victor is that he's so internationally known that his art is in the ambassador's home in Dubai.
Amazing.
The U.S. ambassador. So we're really privileged to be able to reach out to the caliber of these people and have them come and speak to 10, 15 participants about their leadership experience. So it's really humbling and very encouraging and motivating to have them come.
I want to go somewhere, and I hope it's going to, when I get to the end, I hope it's going to be okay with you guys. But there was something that was really impressed upon me, and it relates. And it was one of our classmates who said something around the fact of that there's not necessarily a culture within the Latino community of talking about oneself and of hyping oneself up and saying, look at me and look what I'm doing. There is a and you can help me out here when I finish. I want you to clarify for you. There's kind of a humility, kind of a quieter, kind of behind the scenes, get the work done, make it happen, create impact. There's not as much of a need to have those big celebration moments or to have those big opportunities to spotlight and showcase. I think the Anglo community, that's a very big piece of the Anglo community. The Latino community, and this is from a student saying this is not my opinion, this was feedback I heard, is a little bit more underscored. And one of the things that was mentioned out of that is we don't know the impact of the Latino community unless the Latino community is able to share that impact. And when we talk about all these leaders, all these mid-level leaders, all this impact, 200 boards, running for office, that's one of the things that I kind of came away with really interested in is how do we do a better job in this community of spotlighting the amazing work and impact that the Latino community is doing? Because I think a lot of people don't know. How does that strike you? Do you remember that moment? I don't know if that was Adam or if that was a classmate, but it was during our retreat. And there was just a desire to say, look, we need to do a better job of supporting each other and spotlighting each other. I think the HLI Familia 2019 does a great job of that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the mutual support that I see in WhatsApp and text thread. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, I think it starts, with groups such as, the leadership group, and with, highlighting the accomplishments of the Latino community. That's why it's so important to have these leadership programs, but also that's why we partner with community organizations such as, like the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I think that's really important that we, get involved more with organizations like that so that we can, highlight more accomplishments of the Latino community. And that's why, we are, here at the radio station so that we can highlight more of the accomplishments. But I think, like you said, the 2019 class is really good at highlighting not only their own accomplishments, more of their peers' accomplishments.
Absolutely. What do you think about that, Ricardo? Again, that wasn't my observation. That was some of the feedback from the class. What do you think of that? I think it relates to HLI. I really do.
I think it's part of our culture, the Hispanic, the Hispanic culture. When they don't raise you to expect something for giving back to the community. They raise you in a way that you serve your community, you support your community, you do your job the best you can, and if something comes along, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. I mean, that's part of the Hispanic culture, and it's like, for instance, Almita and I, we're doing this from our heart, and we are doing this because we really want to make an impact, a positive impact in our community. But we're not doing this because we want to win an award in a fancy gala. I mean, you do it because you really want to help your community, and I guess this is because the way Hispanics have been raised.
Gotcha. No, I was hoping you were going to go there, Ricardo, when you talked about the culture. I was hoping you would define that. And I think part of the reason that this show exists is for everybody. It's not based on any one group, but for everybody whose stories aren't being as told as much, this be a platform to talk about the people and ideas shaping Tucson's future, because there's so many under the surface that don't get the mainstream media time that need to be celebrated and supported and spotlighted and continue to push forward and honored and say you are doing good work in this community. But it's an interesting dynamic within the overall kind of city scope.
Yeah, and I just want to share the Hispanic Leadership Institute at graduation. We give an award every year to a community member that has done work for the Hispanic community, and this year we got to give the Daniel Hernandez Junior Award to the mayor of Tucson.
That's right. He was there. The mayor was there.
He was there. We're really blessed to have him there, and we're honored to give him this award as he, ends his his tenure as mayor. So, but every year we get to highlight a Hispanic that has, given back to the community. Last year we got to, or 2 years ago, we got to honor Carlota Flores, and she was really grateful. She's done a lot of work for the community. So Valle del Sol, within the Hispanic Leadership Institute, we get to highlight those community members that have given back to the community. And pretty soon we'll be having also an HLI Alumni Award, where we
Cool.
can get to highlight alumni that are have really grown within the community.
Super. So just to summarize, about 10 years in Tucson, over 100 students and alumni across the state. Hundreds of board positions have been filled. Running for office, the Hispanic Leadership Institute focuses on really training leaders who are able to engage the issues that impact the Latino community and the overall community, whether that's business, healthcare, civic engagement, board training, media, education, government, a real good analysis of the city. And that's what Ricardo and Alma and I have been talking about, the two co-facilitators of the program. In closing, first of all, if there's anything we didn't cover you want to, but in closing, a website or a way to contact you both for either participation or sponsorship, or a way to get involved in the next cohort. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, if you want to know more about Valle del Sol, they have their website. It's valledelsol.com. If you want to be engaged or you want to know more about HLI Tucson, you can follow us on Facebook or in Twitter. We are HLI Tucson in Facebook, and also on Twitter we're at HLI Tucson.
We also have an email, Gmail, HLI2son@gmail.com. But the website there at valledelsol.com, you can find the different programs, the Tucson program and the other counties. I know some people, they move from Tucson and they go up to Phoenix and they want to get involved. So they can go on the website and see the different programs, or if they know somebody anywhere in the state that could use this leadership program, they can go on that website as well.
Super. I thank you both for your facilitation. Thank you for your labor of love. I recognize you and what you are doing, and thankful that you're in the city, and for your time. You've also given me a little bit more time than I asked for, so I appreciate that. Anything in closing, or did we cover it for now and more conversation later?
Well, the program is it's 1 year. It's
Yes.
not 1 year. It's every year
Yes.
for 10 weeks. So the next program will be next spring.
Okay.
We'll be starting around March. But if you want to start inquiring about it, please reach out to us.
Super. And we'll have you on again to promote that near the spring, so when it happens.
We can't wait.
Wonderful. Alma, Ricardo, thank you both so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And that was my conversation with the two co-facilitators of the Hispanic Leadership Institute, Ricardo Morales and Alma Peralta, on 1030 The Voice, on the show here, Trusted Local News and Talk. We're going to take our final break. Before we do so, want to just thank one of our sponsors, Summers Financial Management. They specialize in tax strategies and wealth planning and financial management. And so if you want to talk to them about how to manage your resources in the best way possible, whether you are younger, older, getting ready for retirement, have assets under your own management, and you want to figure out how to do it bigger and better, get a hold of Adam Summers and his team at summersfinancial.com. He'll spend an hour of time with you, just trying to see if you guys are compatible and to understand what you're working with, and if he can help you in the best way possible. So reach out to them again, summersfinancial.com. We appreciate their support of this show, and Adam's a great guy, so get a hold of him, meet with him.